Today we'll be looking at how to set up button prompts, a way to let the player know what button they need to press when. And first things first, you need to have buttons you could show the player. So I went ahead and used this person's. You could create your own. Button prompts are very easy to create, but I just went ahead and downloaded this person's. Link is in description. Now upon downloading, I quickly realized this guy doesn't have any press keys, only the unpress button. So I went ahead and just got the select tool and pushed the key down a bit to about 1 pixel above, and that makes the key look like it's pressed. That way we could do a pressing animation. And I went ahead and just did this with all of these and saved it as a new PNG file, so I have unpressed keys and press keys. Now once you have the project created, you go ahead and just drag your key pressed and key not pressed in, and just make sure to turn off the filter because these are pixel art. So I'm just going to do a new scene, and because this is going to be the player, I'm going to do kinematic body. Now I'm not actually going to build anything on the player because I already have a tutorial that covers how to set up the player. Link is in description and iCode. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a sprite, and this sprite is going to contain the image. We're going to start with the keys, and we only want to do the E key in this case because that's going to be my action key. So I'm going to do the animation, H frames, we have 5 across, and it looks like we have 8 down. That leaves us with a single button. So I'm going to go over to the E key, and I'm just going to put that above the player's head. Now I'm going to add a animation player. If you already have an animation player for the player, you're going to want this to be a separate animation player because you want this to play independently of the player's animations. And I'm just going to go ahead and create a new animation called key prompt. And then I'm going to select the sprite. Let's go and call this the key. And I'm just going to lock in the texture, probably about 7 seconds in. I'm going to swap it to the other texture so it's pressed and lock that key. So if I run this, it presses. I'm going to add the loop on there, and we have a simple key prompt. But we want to be able to turn this off and on. I'm going to attach a script. If you already have a script, that's fine. It should work with. And I'm going to do a boolean. Let's say var show prompt. And I'm going to do a setter and getter so that I can control what happens when I change this between true and false. If you want more info about how setters and getters work, I do have a tutorial, link in description and iCard. So if it's false, we're going to want to hide the key and stop playing the key prompt. So if the new value is true, we're going to go ahead and do key.show key prompt.play key prompt. Else we're going to do the opposite. We're going to do key.hide key prompt.stop. That should allow us to say show prompt false and it'll stop, show prompt true and it'll start. So in our process function, I'm going to check for the E key. As soon as they press it, I want to stop showing the prompt. I'm going to do if input.is action just pressed interact. Then we're going to do self.show prompt equals false. And I don't have an interact, so I'm going to set that up real quick. Project settings, input map, interact. Add that, scroll down, key, E, good. Close that. Now we should be able to play this. Actually, we need to select scene, and also I'm going to set up a camera so that we could better see the player, so he's not going to be in the corner. He's going to be up there and you can't see the key prompt. I'm going to set up a camera, current, and then let's zoom in a bit. I'm going to click this, select. Now it's not playing by default because I didn't set the default. So just click that little button right there to set the default animation to play. And I'm going to run. If I press the E key, it stops. So you could have a area 2D or any collision area that's just checking if the player could interact with something. If it's true, you'll set interact to true. If not, you'll set interact to false. That should show that and hide that. Also, if you wanted, you could have an array of stuff they could interact with. That way, when they get out of the range of one thing to interact with, it's like, oh, they still have stuff to interact with. That would be very similar to this. Instead of setting show prompt, you would add something to it and take something from it. And it would be an array. If the array isn't empty, you would show it. If it is empty, you would hide it. Well, that was button prompts in Godot. Hopefully I was able to teach you something, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one.